Good afternoon to the head table. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, at least the bulk of people should know me. I'm Allison Balcombe. Right. I think that I might be about the only person who was responsible for selling the most Arrowroot starch in St. Vincent. I was a part of my grandfather's business when we sold over 1 million pounds of starch for every crop year. Mr. Reynolds sees I see him here, he would know about that. Sonny Haywood would also know about that. Now, before I go further, I must say, God gift to man to survive was land. And nobody should turn their back on the land. You turn your back on the land, you turn your back on God's gift. You turn your back on God's gift. And I look at it to see today, what we are seeing. I grew up, leave primary school and start working at age 13. I start managing an estate for my grandfather at age 17 at Connery. I managed my grandfather's business, which was about the biggest estate business in St. Vincent, at age 21. I managed, it was Grand Sable, it was Connery, it was Sanssouci, because Monbentic has already been given away to Lucky, and Langley Park was already been sold to the Arrowroot Association. When I look at what has been happening today in relation to what is taking place around us, those of us at my age level would see that we have been driving ourselves away from the land completely, because like we ain't getting no kind of returns from it. You cannot plant, you cannot keep animals, there are people thieving them down. Those of us would know that bus trucks used to be in this area every week going back full of animals. Those of us would have known that. It is not happening anymore. I grew up and used this to mind sheep to buy my books and my clothes. I never depend on my grandparents. I did that. And we look at the youths today. They do not go to school and show their hands because their hands, they are not dirty. We had to do it. We had to show that. Our hair had to comb, our shirt in our pants. You understand? That's it. I still meet my teachers who taught me and say good morning and good evening, sir. The manners of it is completely out. It is nowhere anymore. Right. Where I look at it to say that if we are going forward with the Arrowroot, we'd have to think twice and do a lot of things to get over where we are. We have to do a lot of things to get over where we are, because you look at it carefully. We are getting very weak on the human being element of it to work. Because our children was not trained to work. Our children has not been trained to work. We were trained to work when we were youths. We were trained to work when we were youths. Now, if we look at a situation where we can produce Arrowroot and get 25,000 pounds per acre, I'm not putting it at 30, 25, we would be doing excellently good to do that. Now, the powers that be, they are not interested in Arrowroot. As far as we heard before, they're just doing things to get farmers frustrated, which I know it is a fact. That is a fact. That ain't no joke thing. Because if the farmer carry the struggle with everything, he has to find money to begin with everything. There is no such thing as a loan from the Arrowroot Association anymore. You have to battle it yourself alone. And when you have to find money to do everything, what do you expect would be the result? What would be the return of it? You are struggling to do things. You cannot feed that plant with the correct nutrients that it needs to produce. You can't do it. To go into agriculture, to do it properly, we have to get financial assistance from somewhere. That has to come from somewhere. And until people know that they can make something out of it before they will be going back into it. But I can tell all of you here this afternoon, you can make something out of Arrowroot if you can get up to 25,000 pounds to the acre. You will be able to make something out of it. But we have a serious problem if we get up to that. We do not have the factory capacity to handle that. I manage factory. My factory, who dealt with us would have known, I use this to do 80,000 pounds per day. in my factory. The same designers up there, 80,000 pounds. That factory most likely is doing 40,000 pounds. That is doing half of what we use this to do. I have people who tell you that I'm speaking the truth. Because Caesar, you knew it was 7 truckloads of Arrowroot that went in the factory yard. Each truckload had a comprise of 120 baskets. Each of that basket weighed more than 120 pounds. Do the calculation and you would see. I knew because I managed the factory. I knew what happened. I knew. You understand? And if we can get to 25,000 pounds per acre, we'll be doing well. Now, in order for us to get to 25,000 pounds an acre, how do we go about it? We do not have the correct analysis of the soil to tell us what we are lacking and the correct thing to give the soil, to treat the soil, to produce. I do not even know if there is an extension officer anymore. Because the last time I saw one, I said, oh, he said, boy, me ain't getting traveling allowance. So if me ain't getting traveling allowance, me can't travel. It says that is as easy as that. You understand? So it's very simple. You can't fight down somebody if I'm not getting money to go and do things I am not going to do it. Simple. Yes. But if we could get up to 25,000 pounds, we will be able to be in business. We need to get the correct fertilizer. What I knew we used to do years ago was to bring a fertilizer from Holland called Albatross with a bird on the bag. Albatross. And it was a straight 16 fertilizer. This was not physically mixed fertilizer. This was chemically blended fertilizer. And what we are getting here for fertilizer is when you keep throwing it, you see to the bottom, if you use a bucket, you'll see something look like sulfate of ammonia to the bottom. That means the plants is not getting equal distribution what they're supposed to get. No, well, basically, all that is the result why it is not producing. And that is the result why it is not producing. But until we kind of get over these things, the industry can't come back. Because people would plant Arrowroot if they know they're going to make money out of it. But right now, the situation that is existing, it is difficult for them. You're not making nothing much, and you have to finance it from your own pocket constantly. And that is hard. That is extremely hard. I personally know about Arrowroot factory. I've been around. I remember when the one was rebuilt at Connery. Nobody imported anything from overseas to build Arrowroot factory here. Now, Sonny, you know that. Nobody imported anything. It was old pieces of factory that was laid all over the place. We went and took parts. The last factory that was built was the one that Sonny built for Lucky Balcombe. That was the last one. It is still down there. My uncle Bendick had rebuilt the central Arrowroot factory. That was down there, the only factory that the Arrowroot Association had access to below the Roberca River at Central. That factory was given to my best friend by Ralph Gonsalves. And he went inside and destroyed the factory. They could have more than taken out the things that were in the factory, put them somewhere that is safe. Now I'm hearing talk about they're going to build a factory in Orange Hill. I'm hearing that kind of talk. But you see, around this time, you're going to get all tomfoolery. All kind of tomfoolery is going to come up. You're going to hear things about like if it is dreaming. You understand? But this is reality. This is real life. We have to face it. We are not dreaming here anymore now. Every month, every home is being faced to meet a bill every month. Every month. Now, who is working to contribute in meeting that demands of that bill every month? People do not eat food because they are afraid people would see that their electricity is cutting off. Bread is the fastest thing that is selling in this place. Bread. When bread is the biggest seller, it tells you that people cannot cook. And that is what is happening right now. For right now. You understand? I live it, I understand it, I know it. A lot of us becomes beggars. If somebody comes from overseas, people running them down like fish out of water to beg them for something. That is constantly happening here right now. Yeah, that is happening. And that is not a very good thing. That is not good for us. We listen to everything on radio, and we think we understand some of the things, but we still do not understand a lot of the things that we're hearing because it is confusing for us. Every day you wake up, you hear somebody get shoot. A man went and he sold some things. He went in Park Hill, check out the money. That night he was a dead man. He was dead because of his money. And this is the state we have become. This is where we reach to. This is not good. But I would say again that if we take stride and move forward with the land, and we go ahead, and if we can get 25,000 pounds of rhizome per acre, we'll be doing good. But the factory would have to put in place to accommodate the situation, because it makes no sense to dig it and you have it and you can't take it to the factory. Everybody here would have known Miller, who worked at that factory, when that factory ran with one engine. Had one engine. That the last engine was bought by Freddie Olivier when he was manager for the Arrowroot. Yeah, the last engine. You understand? I use this to come and assist Mr. Miller when there is work in the factory to be done. I bought stuff and always had it home. I still have perforated sheeting that I bought for that factory, which I know I'm not going to ask nobody to buy it from me, because I don't already know the situation. I understand it. I look at that factory, I hardly want to go inside it, because I don't really go inside the factory since they're dealing with what they're dealing with. And I look at it to say, look at it, this is already a dead. That is already a dead. The best area the drying house was located up there was on the left-hand side going in. That was the better drying house that dries starchy fastest. The best area. Now you look at it carefully. When you're driving a truck going up there, the exhaust is blowing up the dust from the ground and you have starch drying in the drying house. What quality starch you expect to get when the wind take that dust and blow it inside there? Anybody, those people you think that they're up there is correct? Well, if that is correct, boy, I wouldn't want to see nothing that is incorrect. That is the truth. Yeah. Yeah. So I always look at those things, but I don't say anything, because if I speak, they're going to say different things. So I just shut my mouth and ask myself, what kind of quality of starch? When the truck blows up all that nastiness and the wind take it and blow it in the drying house, what do you expect to get out of it? What do you expect to get? You understand? So that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. I could go on more and more, but let me just break it here.
Well, I believe you will agree with me that we can have, from the gathering here today, a team to successfully run the Arrowroot industry, from what we have here this evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Balcombe. And the next speaker that we would have is another gentleman who is no stranger to the industry. Please help me welcome Mr. Joel Daniel.
Thank you very much, and greetings to everybody. Mr. Roberts and Mr. Baptiste have said most of the things I wanted to say. However, I would like to divert a little bit and direct a question to the farmers. Ask them, farmers, what are the problems we're facing right now?
No, sure. You remember, you might have heard me on a radio calling program sometime last year. And I was kind of put in the situation to say that we need some money, because we have been selling our, when you sell, you get paid. We've been delivering our Arrowroot. Sure heard me on the radio, and a movement was made from there. He came up and collected farmers' name, and a movement was made from there. Eventually, when things happened, we did get our money, because the authorities that we was challenged to pay within 2 weeks to avoid court. And after that, I came up here, and a lot of people telling me it's Montgomery who get their money. So I'm just explaining to people how the money was paid last year. The people who caused it to happen is right in this meeting, but I'm not going to call name. Well, you can take it from there. You can take it from there. It is not possible to go that route. Listen to me carefully. if you are not getting assistance to plant arrowroot and you're going to plant it by yourself, nobody could stop you. Let me just look at it carefully. Nobody could stop you. If I was borrowing your money, you would say, I'm not lending you my money to plant arrowroot. But every arrowroot farmer finds their own way, their own money to deal with it.
But what about the purchasing of it, the rhizome? Will they purchase it from you?
Listen to me. If anybody plant, and I am a planter, and you having problem, come to me, let me sell your art in my name.
Okay.
Simple as that.